Hi guys, Agent of Doubt here, and for today's ramble, I want to talk about how for 2 years I doubted my own ethnicity because of Ancestry.com's DNA tests. So, little backstory. In December of 2016, my girlfriend Misty bought me a DNA kit from Ancestry.com. Now, they're not the only company out there that does this, but I don't know that the others are that much better and would have prevented this problem. So, I took the test, my results came back, and I immediately screen capped my results and threw them out on Twitter because my results said that I was 70% from Great Britain and 11% from Western Europe. And that very high number, 70% from Great Britain, actually had a further breakdown, which said I was 2% or less Irish, right? So my immediate thought was my friend Brian in the UK could not possibly score better than me at being British. And he is a British citizen. So I tweeted, I'm more British than Brian, take the test, you know. And, yeah, that went on for a month, me thinking that I could, get into drinking tea, which I actually don't very much enjoy, as opposed to coffee and other things. But it dawned on me that a big part of my childhood must have been a lie. Because I was raised by my grandparents on my mother's side from infancy until about the age of 8. And then I got to live with my father because of a custody issue, and then visit them on the summers. And my grandfather on my mother's side fully believed that he was 100% Irish. To the point where almost every meal included some form of potato, okay? I ate so many baked potatoes. And my grandparents had a cholesterol problem, so they didn't have regular sour cream. They had IMO, which it sucks compared to regular sour cream. I ate them so many different ways. Scalloped potatoes, potatoes au gratin, all of that. I had to eat as a kid because we were Irish and that's what they cooked. My grandfather also had this strange predilection for watching his steaks as they were on the grill as if they were as entertaining as television. Shit you not, he would roll out the grill from the garage because, the heat going up could, cause a fire. But it was just right outside of the garage. He'd roll it out, open it up, put the steaks on, and he would stare. This man went through the Great Depression, but that Great Depression was, at the time, decades in the past. He would stare at that thing like, I fucking won. I get to watch my steak cook. Like he won at the game of life because he got to eat steak every night, right? It was more entertaining to him than TV, right? And I would sometimes sit with him and just watch that steak. We ate steak and potatoes. Steak and potatoes, right? One of the weird things about my grandfather believing that he was 100% Irish and giving us some of that wisdom that he would get from that lineage, my cousin Johnny was adopted into our family, right? Genetically, we don't know exactly where he came from. He looks white, right? Johnny actually got a tattoo of the Fightin' Irish logo on his leg, and on the other side it says Fightin' Irish because he became a fan of the Fighting Irish because my grandfather said he was Irish, right? And so then, decades later, my grandfather's passed for, 15 years, no, 25 years. 25 years ago, he passed. Decades later, I take this DNA test, and it says that I'm less than 2% Irish in the further breakdown. And I'm like, well, goddamn, that was a lot of steak and potatoes that I ate for nothing. And so a lot of those potatoes were kind of bland, ugh. And it wasn't like an Oprah level thing, but I really felt like I know there's families out there that have stories in them where somebody says, "Oh, our great grandmother was Native American, and so we are part Native American." And then they find out that they're not. The Elizabeth Warren DNA test was a similar thing where, like, she's less than 2% Native American according to the tests now. You hear these stories about where you come from, and really you're relying on word of mouth, and I can't even name, like, more than 6 generations back any of the surnames, in my family. So 6 generations back, I'm lost, right? So then it comes to this month, and I had told one of my coworkers how I had lived a lie and thought I was a quarter Irish for, a lot of my life. And then 2 years back, I learned that I wasn't. And I decided, you know what, let me go look at that again to see if they have any updates, right? The updates, when I updated them, oh my goodness, say I'm actually only 62% from Great Britain, down from 70%, but I'm actually 29% Ireland, Scotland, Wales, right? Which, that would actually include enough of Irish to give me that full quarter that I would be from my matrilineal grandfather claiming to be Irish, right? So, for 2 years, I thought definitely my grandfather did not know his own ancestry. And he was living a lie, and he passed that lie on to me and my cousin Johnny, which is strange because he was adopted. But, the lie was so pervasive that we would celebrate, St. Paddy's Day more than other people. We ate things that were traditionally Irish. And I was like, for 2 years, I was like, all of that was just us enjoying a culture that really wasn't ours. That's fine to do. I mean, I don't really feel connected to much of my lineage. I feel more American than anything. And even at that, I feel like internet culture is more of who I am than the American culture as a whole. There's a little subculture that I'm a part of that really defines who I am a lot more than my racial makeup. And then I find out 2 years after the fact that no, I wasn't living a lie. All that shit was actually true. And it was because the DNA tests were not refined enough 2 years ago. Now, I'm not telling you all to avoid DNA testing, but I'm saying if you did get a result years ago, check it again. Because they save your DNA profile, and then when their systems get better fine-tuned, they put out updates, right? And this is especially true for anyone dealing with, like, Native American lineage, when you're trying to find out that stuff, because well, first of all, Native Americans weren't genetic essentialists, and a lot of them have a lot of European ancestry that was inserted in over the centuries in America. So, like, they didn't consider the people who were, half-breed to be not Native American. They just assimilate them into their culture. So that, like, if we were to get an actual sample of all the Native Americans, it's not like they're going to, they themselves would say, oh, well, you're a little bit less Native American. They're just not like that. But part of their non-essentialism for DNA has led many tribes to shun DNA testing. So there's not really good profiles for that. But as they get more samples, it's going to get better. They're going to have better answers and more exact results. I myself am still not convinced at my numbers because on top of my grandfather from my mother's side being firmly a believer that he was Irish, my grandmother had been raised to carry on Polish traditions. And this included torturing me as a young kid with the tradition of eating sauerkraut, which I hated as a kid. As an adult, I can get by it. It's not my favorite thing in the world. But as a kid, oh my goodness, it was horrible. And she would make her own, right, from cabbage. After it was in the corned beef and cabbage, she might take it out and jar it and pickle it. It was horrible childhood memories. Well, my DNA results now, the further breakdown, still say that only 3% of me is Eastern Europe or Russia, right? So I'm still thinking that they need to maybe tweak their understanding of genetics a little bit better, because I know the surnames from my grandmother's lineage. That was passed down to us, that knowledge. And there's a lot of Polish names just a couple generations removed from me. And to think that I'm only 3% Eastern Europe or Russia, in another 2 years, I'm going to check my results again, and I'm expecting to see another tweak, and I'm expecting to see that even her claims of her lineage are true. They're still kind of in my eyes. There's room within the results I've gotten for her to have been part of a family that traveled to that area, maybe, but still, I don't trust the results that I'm getting now. So what I'm saying is, go ahead and take the test if you want. It's all fun, but don't invest yourself in the results too much, and keep checking year after year to see how much your results change based on the same sample that you gave, because they're getting better. Anyways, that's all for my ramble today. Take care. Hopefully my new mic on my camcorder with the dead cat, I think I can put some of it. Can I? No. The shot's not wide enough. Anyways, hopefully that mic picked up everything, and there's less wind noise. And when I go out for my other videos that are, outside of this room, you guys will enjoy them a little bit better because the sound will be crisper. Laters.